I'm the best kept secret in professional wrestling right now. For the first time ever, I feel like I'm very close to breaking through that glass ceiling. And in 4 years, I've managed to drop 7 stone and get into the shape of my life. And I believe now more than ever, you know, I look like a star. I act like a star. When I walk into any venue now, people know that Zak Zodiac's walked in. No matter what style, what position, what match, whether I'm start of the show or main event, I will give you what you ask for. And then Arn Anderson went up to Big Show and said, look, this kid's strikes are phenomenal. You know, we want to make them look like they've got a chance. And the way we do that is like, this kid kick you in the head.
Yeah.
And Big Show saying to me, you know, this is the one time, like, make sure you kick me. And I bloody did. I remember this kid just popping out immediately. And you could tell that I, you know, potated the guy because the first chop he gave me afterwards, he wanted to rip my heart out, you know?
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Irish Wrestling Podcast. I'm delighted today to be joined by a very special guest. At the age of 32, he's already a 20-plus year veteran. He is the past, the present, and the future of the professional wrestling industry. Mr. Zak Zodiac. Zak, welcome to the show. How are things?
Yeah, very good. Thanks for that great introduction. Believe it or not, I use that as a catchphrase.
Oh, do you?
And the future. So,
oh, brilliant.
Goosebumps when you said that, bro.
I didn't even realize. I didn't even know you used it.
Oh, no. Well, there you go. Great minds think alike.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Well, I hope that, well, as we spoke before we come on, I hope you are the future of the professional wrestling industry. You're in the process. You're in the middle of the process, or you're maybe finishing the process of your visas for traveling into North America. How are things going with that?
It's been a long process. I started on this in March, and obviously we're now in October. So, you know, a good 6 months of having to give everything, literally everything, jumping through hoops. But the good news is I have been approved for my visa. I just need to go to the embassy and have my meeting and get a stamp on my passport. And when that happens, I got 3 years to try and make it big leagues. So
absolutely phenomenal. It must be really like you're this close now. This is it. This is your moment. Like, so it's so close. You must be absolutely buzzing for it.
I am, to be honest with you. You know, as you said at the start, I've been in the business a long time, and I felt like many times I've come close, but nothing like this. You know, to actually have a visa. You know, I'm backing myself. This isn't anything to do with any company.
Yeah.
Yes, companies have told me they'll give me opportunities if I got my visa. And there's multiple companies that have said that truthfully. So this is a real leap of faith. This is me saying to the world, look, I know I'm good enough. I'm willing to back myself. Mm-hmm. I've trained hard, you know, just give me an opportunity and I will be, you know, I'm the best kept secret in professional wrestling right now. And the person that give me the first opportunity will see that. And I know then the sky's truly the limit.
Absolutely. We can't wait to see what happens. It's going to be a phenomenal experience for you. Like for 3 years, like you can do, you know, live your dream outside of Europe, basically. Does that cover you for all, you know, Canada and America, or is it just United States? Or?
Yeah, no, it covers me for Canada and the whole of America. So this is very, very exciting times. To be honest with you, it's been a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
For the first time ever, I feel like I'm very close to breaking through that glass ceiling to kick down the last door. And it's been an emotional journey. 12 years ago, and my sister left with her hood up at the airport.
Yeah.
The last thing I said to her is, put your hood up and don't look back. I'll be there soon. It's taken me 12 years, but finally I'm keeping my promise and I'm going to the States to be with her.
Brilliant. So your family will be at the airport and they'll be telling you to put your hood up and don't look back.
You know what? I don't want the same thing. I'm really bad at saying goodbyes, which is one of the main reasons I didn't go with Saraya. We had a really good night the night before. I told her how I felt. You know, at that time, you know, I would have a little drink. So I remember having a few drinks and just to get myself to sleep. You know, it's not... There was no jealousy involved. I was losing my best friend, someone that I'd grown up with and done so much with. And, you know, through the hard times, we were always together. And I found it really hard to process that my sister's not going to be there when I needed her. You know, yes, video calls, everything else, but it's not the same as, you know, going up to your sibling, giving her a cuddle and be like, man, I'm not good at the minute. I really need you.
Yeah, I can imagine like the hurt there, you know, being left, you know, feeling like you're left behind. And pick up the pieces, but you've absolutely smashed it. Like over the last few years, like your transformation has been incredible. Like you've been inspired. You're currently inspiring people. Every time you post a picture of your body transformation, like it must have helped you phenomenally. Like, just focusing on that one thing, getting your training down to your pinpoint. Are you using a personal trainer, or are you just doing this off your own back, or just getting everything in shape?
Well, so if I just backtrack a little bit, I was
Yeah.
always told that my work rate speaks for itself. I was always told that my promo skills are on point. But I was always told you don't look like a superstar. You don't look like a professional wrestler, which I started in the old school era. Wrestlers, when I was growing up, they didn't have, shoulders coming up to their ears or abs. They looked like legitimate tough guys that would go in there and break your fingers, So that was a really hard thing for me to process. I always thought my work rate would get me to where I needed to be. Mental health come into play, and I slipped badly. I went up to over 22 stone, and my whole world come crumbling down. But the best thing that ever happened to me, truthfully, was the pandemic. Being locked away with my own thoughts and my family. I had my wife and children around me, and the constant talk was from my wife and even my children was, well, if they're telling you you've got everything bar the body, why are you not trying to get the body? Why are we waiting here? You're not getting no younger, Dad. And I'm like, you're right. You're absolutely right. And it started with just some walks around the park. Then I went to a boxing gym, and I got a fitness coach. He was doing a lot of high intensity training, circuit training, boxercise, teaching me the boxing aspect. And I fell in love with conditioning, cardio, everything else. I then got myself a PT instructor. He never came to the gym with me, but he gave me a diet plan and give me routines. And then, man, I like to know everything. So I was Googling and researching as much as possible. And in 4 years, I've managed to drop 7 stone and get into the shape of my life. And I believe now more than ever, I look like a star. I act like a star. When I walk into any venue now, people know that Zak Zodiac's walked in. So in hindsight, they were absolutely right. I didn't look like a wrestler. I didn't act like a wrestler. I wasn't a star. I wasn't the poster boy that they required. But right now at 32, I'm everything that they need and more.
Amazing. Honestly, like every time we see stuff online, and when you post up the pictures, it's so inspiring when you see the transformation that you've done, that you've been able to do that yourself. Like, and focus on that one thing just to get to where you want to be, which is something that people need to look at. A lot of people look down on themselves, and they may have mental health issues, or they're suffering with depression or something, and they just need that one thing to take them out of it, just a light switch moment that just takes them clean out of it.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I sit here and, I've got a purpose for life. I've got my wife and my children. But professionally, I had to find motivation to get up again and to fight again, and not to keep going through the motions and thinking, I'm at this show. Well, I've only got to do what I normally do, and I know how to get a reaction. I know what they want to see, but I was never really testing myself. I was just going through the motions. I was existing rather than living. So, for me, I just needed to remind myself how much I love this business. And I have done since I was a tiny little boy. So that's my motivation now, is to prove people that told me I weren't good enough that they were wrong. And to also prove that you can reinvent yourself 20 years down the line. If you've got that passion, drive, and love for this industry, I won't take no for an answer. Shut the door in my face. I'll kick the door down. One way or another, I will showcase to the world why I'm one of the best wrestlers that Britain's ever produced.
Brilliant. We like I said at the start, we can't wait to see it happen. Just to take it back a small bit most people would know your story from the documentary or the movies, but you started professionally, your first match was 10 years old, like, so you have over 20 years experience. Like your style, I know you've delved into a lot of different styles of wrestling, like, but we started off as basically like a luchador at the time, with wearing the masks and stuff. Like, how's your style of wrestling progressed? Like, how do you pick up stuff from people throughout the years that that you're going to learn, or you to adapt to other people, or do you have one? You obviously don't have one specific style now at the minute, but where from the lucha teenager to the man who was out a hooligan, basically beating the crap out of people, like, where did the changeover happen from that boy in the pink Power Ranger suit to the boy who was beating the crap out of people?
Yeah, no, really good question, actually. I do a lot of seminars and I
Hmm.
tell students, the whole idea of wrestling is to be something different and unique to what they can't get their hands on.
Yeah,
They can get flyers, they can get brawlers, they can get, tech submission. But I like to be the person that they can rely on. So in terms of like football, I like to be that impact player or the
yeah,
person that they could say, we could put Zach in defense, midfield, goalkeeper, or striker, and we know he'll do a job. So for me, I started as a high flyer. I then fell in love with the tech submission style. Growing up watching British wrestling, I then see the American style of the razzmatazz and the lights, camera, and action.
yeah,
I then went to Mexico and learned more of the luchador style. The hooligans. We were, beer drinking thugs that love to fight. But on some shows, we were doing comedy, and people were loving it. So I tell everyone, fill up your pie chart, learn every style of professional wrestling, because you then become, a hybrid athlete. You become something that no one else is. When you look at the top guys in wrestling, they'll always say he's the best technical wrestler, or he's the best striker, or he's the best high flyer. But I want to be the full package. I don't want them to say he's good at this style, which is why I call myself the hybrid athlete now, is no matter what style, what position, what match, whether I'm start of the show or main event, I will give you what you ask for. And there's not many wrestlers left that works for the promoter or the show. I've never been about myself.
yeah.
So in the last sort of 3 years, when I transformed my body, I still will put a high flying in. I'll still use a technical ability. But right now, I'm using the boxing background that I found. I like the high intensity, heavy strikes.
Yeah.
I like people to believe my work. So I've sort of amalgamated all the styles and come up with my style. Truthfully, is how I put it to people.
Yeah, well, it should look the part for North America as well, like because you're able to adapt because there's so many different styles in North America at the minute with all the so many promotions that you could go to, or in Canada, and maybe even Japan if that's somewhere that you're planning on going in the future, like you'd be able to adapt to you know thousands
Yeah,
of different people.
Yeah, well, the good thing is I've worked a lot for Rev Pro in the last couple of years, and they're bringing people from all over the place,
Yeah,
Japan, Mexico, America. I've been very fortunate enough that Andy's put me in a lot of good positions. Even at Raw Quest 2, I'm in the ring with Okada and Ishii. People dream of this stuff,
yeah,
but when I'm backstage, the nerves weren't there. This was like, this is where I belong. This is a chance to show the people that I'm good enough to step in with what the world perceive as the best wrestlers in the world. So yeah, I'm very excited. It doesn't matter who's across the ring from me. I know that we're going to have a fantastic match. And, it doesn't matter what style they want to do. I'll keep up with them. And that's one thing that I've done for 20 plus years is I have truly been a student of the game, so that I can go in there and tie up with anyone at any level, any size, any ability, and be confident in my ability to have a good match.
phenomenal. You grew up obviously in a wrestling family. Like, do you remember the moment where you actually fell in love with wrestling, where this is it, this is what I want to do? People grow up and they want to be a fireman or a policeman or whatever. Like, was there a point in your childhood where like this is it, this is what I'm going to do? There was never anything else.
Well, the problem is you've already said it. There was never anything else. From my first memory, I remember sitting in a wrestling ring, or sitting backstage with the greats of Giant Haystack, Skull
Yeah,
Murphy, Danny Boy Collins, Robbie Brookside, you know, uh, Dynamite Kid on the back end of his career. I'm sitting in this dressing room with these guys, and I'm in absolute awe. These were my superheroes. These were Superman, Spider-Man, Thor, Iron Man. Like, these were real life to me. And then when Channel 4 started showing WWE,
yeah,
they
yeah,
were showing pay-per-views and free shows. As soon as I see the lights, camera, action aspect incorporated with professional wrestling, that's where I was like, wow, I need to get there. Like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And I've always been a very extrovert person anyway. I'll openly admit I like all eyes on me.
yeah.
I want to be that guy.
Oh yeah,
And American wrestling gave you that. So I grew up with the glory days of British wrestling, which I'm very thankful for because I learned an awful lot. And that style today is still regarded as one of the best in the world. but I fell in love with the lights, camera, action, and the entertainment side of it through American wrestling. And that's really what inspired me. And then my first memories of saying, I was born to be a professional wrestler.
Amazing. And I know you dreamt about your dream was, obviously, as a youngster, you want to be in the WWE at the time. Like you had a few trials. Doing a bit of research, I found the clips of yourself in a 3-on-1 match with the Big Show from Liverpool in 2011. Like, how did that come about? Was that part of one of your trials? Was that just somebody coming to you and say, "Well, we need a few bodies for a house show," or sorry, an episode of SmackDown?
Funny story. That was a tryout, and I absolutely smashed it. I know it sounds really big-headed, but I'm in the ring. They kept me in the ring. You had people like Goldust, Fit Finlay, Arn Anderson was ringside. And they just kept me in. They kept saying, right, next one in, you can work with Zach. Next one in, you can work with Zach. So I don't know whether they were trying to blow me up or that they appreciated my volume of work, but I was in there a long time. They then sent me through to do my promo. One take, done. It's kind of like, oh, okay. So for me, I felt like the final step was to give me a match. And the funny thing was, PJ Black come up to me and was like, I'm doing a dark match. Can we work? And then I had my agent come up to me saying they want to do a 3-on-1 that's going to be featured on TV. I think you should do that. So I'm like, what do I do? Can I do both? No, you can't do both. It's one or the other. So at the time, my agent said to me, get on TV.
Yeah.
Get on TV. I don't care if it's a 2-3 minute squash match. This is where we're going to get you seen. So I actually put Adrian Lionheart, God rest his soul, I put him into the match with PJ Black. They tore it up, had a fantastic match. So yeah, we're sort of putting it together. And then Arn Anderson went up to Big Show and said, look, this kid's strikes are phenomenal. We want to make them look like they've got a chance. And the way we do that is let this kid kick you in the head.
Yeah, it looked real. It looked brilliant.
I remember Show saying to me, this is the one time, like, make sure you kick me. And I bloody did. I remember his ear just popping out immediately. And you could tell that I'd, potatoed the guy because the first chop he gave me afterwards, he wanted to rip my heart out, But yeah, I remember taking that chop. I remember the sell on the choke slam, just thinking, man, this is everything I thought it would be. The goosebumps, the moment I'm just lying on the mat staring at the ceiling. I thought to myself there and then, I don't care if I'm the jobber for the next 20 years. This is home. This is where I felt alive. I got really good feedback afterwards. Big Show was absolutely lovely. To this day, whenever he sees me, he's very pleasant. I got really good reports from, all the guys that were there watching the tryouts. I honestly thought that was the moment I was going to get signed. But guess what? I didn't have the body. I didn't look like a star. And, really what I should have done is gone out and done what I've done now and trained my backside off. But I just felt so deflated. That was tryout number 5. I had done what they asked me to do. I got myself in shape. I went from 18 stone down to 15 stone cut. Then I was too small, so I put weight back on. Then I wasn't in shape. So, I just felt like they appreciate my work, but I just weren't what they were looking for. And then the movie obviously detailed me as a journeyman. And that's where it hit home. I was never, ever going to make it to the WWE. So that took a lot, especially mentally. It was like, okay, where do you aspire to go now? Because that's always been your dream.
Yeah, well, you not many people can say they've had a movie, or somebody play them in a movie. Like, I know you said there was, you weren't really happy with some aspects of the movie, but overall, it shone a light on the family and the business itself. Going around again, would you have, you weren't on set. Did you get to be on set for the movie? Were you brought in as consultants to say this is what you should be doing, or did you train the actors in the ring when they were shooting in Norwich?
Yeah, so I can't lie. We were made to feel like we were the movie. They brought us on set. They used our wrestling rings to train them while they were in the UK. We had the first couple of sessions. Then they brought someone in to carry on their training. Then they took them to America. But Stephen Merchant made us feel really part of the whole thing. Constant phone calls, text messages, inviting us onto set. How do you feel about this? What about that? I still didn't realize the general gist of the movie until I watched it the first time. I had no idea that I was going to be the other half of the movie. I had no idea. You know, that's not how it was built to us. It was just going to be about Saraya's success and
Yeah.
everything else. Um, I was the yin to her yang of the story. And, you know, I wasn't upset about that because everything was facts. I did fail. The only thing that sort of upset me is I've never been a big drinker. So me sitting in the pub on my own is so unrealistic. I would have never have done that. I've never hurt my sister. At the start of her career, I was dressing up as a pink lady, pink
Hmm.
Power Ranger to help her move forward. You know, when she signs WWE, they're not going to let her come home for a one-off show in front of 100 people and, you know, risk her body. So there was a couple of elements that was a bit like, I could be perceived as an arsehole here, or, you know, a bad brother or a jealous brother. But they done the flip right at the end when I'm stood there with my boy, watching her be successful. All the kids are there as well. They really showcase what I've been doing in the community the last 12 years.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, I took them little downs for the massive up at the end of the movie. And overall, I am happy. I just don't want people to, you know, have a perception that I was jealous or wanted to hurt my sister because I'm a bigger supporter, bro.
Yeah, well, I can imagine, in 20 or 30 years' time now, when you've smashed the North America and they're coming to you for another movie, this half of your life, you've done one half now for the next 30 years or something, you're going to go out and pick somebody else to play in a movie. Like, there could be another movie about your life,
I
in
think
30
there's a
years'
good
time.
possibility. I think there's a good possibility, especially with Saraya's comeback. Her
Hmm.
story's very inspirational, you know, to be told that she'll never wrestle again to now, you know, I know she's just lost it, but to become a world champion again, you know, then you've got my story of really I was down and out. I was
Yeah.
down and out. You know, I had no right to even be where I am now, but that makes me more humble and appreciative of what I'm going through at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, because 5 years ago, anyone would have said to you, Zak's no more. He's, you know, he's finished. Mental health really took over. He's not the man he was. Um, so yeah, I think there's a possibility of a fight with my family too.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, that's exciting.
That would be amazing. That would, yeah, that's that story, like her comeback, and you're, coming out and conquering North America. There's a massive story there to be told, or even a fighting with my family TV series. Following the
Yeah,
journey for seasons, like would be something amazing as well. Because streaming services are all about wrestling at the minute. With
they
the
are.
wrestlers on Netflix, and they're doing a Vince McMahon documentary, and there's so many things out at the minute. So your story's already there. Just they can just latch on to what they already have.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're tagging at the minute with your nephew. If you do conquer North America, are you going to leave everything behind, as in training in the school with the kids and all these tag teams, or you're just going to focus on yourself? Do you go for 3 years? Are you going to be coming back every couple of weeks? Do you have a plan in your mind of how things are going to pan out?
Yeah, no. And again, another good question. For the last 12 years, I have given everything to my family company, and
Yeah.
all the individuals in it to try and help them become the star and live out the dream. And, I sort of was happy to become the star maker instead of the star. But now this is my last chance. I'm 32 years old. I have to be selfish. I have to think about myself. I won't completely turn my back on the family business, but my presence is going to be missing here.
Yeah.
I'll still do everything I do, behind the scenes. But this is a time that I have to be selfish. I have to really think about myself, keep pushing forward. I've got 3 years to get myself a contract, and for the time being, I'm going to be traveling backwards and forwards. The first period of time, as soon as my visa is in my passport, I'm going straight out there for 6 weeks to wrestle as much as possible. I want to be on every indie show. I do not want a day off. I want to just grind myself to the bone to show America who Zak Zodiac is. I'll then come back and I'll spend a couple of weeks with my family catching up. And then I plan on doing exactly the same thing. If things go from strength to strength, my wife and kids are on my visa and we can move if we want to.
Brilliant.
But I won't move anywhere unless I've got a contract.
Yeah,
I
of
wouldn't do
course.
that to my wife and children.
Yeah, well, I know you mentioned when you were talking to Chris Jericho about the dark match that Tony Khan promised you. Is that still in the back of your mind, or are you just going to focus on smashing it in the scenes first before you go looking for it?
I mean, yeah, I can't lie and say it's not in the back of my mind. Obviously, Chris Jericho promised me a dark match as well. You know, I've got a lot of people that are backing me in AEW, and I've built a lot of relationships and a lot of friends over the years. And every time I go to AEW, I am welcomed with open arms and I'm treated like royalty. I've got to be honest, you know, they're so humble, professional, welcoming. You know, I've never seen anything backstage that would make me be like, oh, I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm treated well. So yeah, it's in the back of my mind. Yes, I hope that, you know, what's been said I can get, but my main focus here is I've conquered Europe. You know, I've done a lot in professional wrestling. The only thing left to do is go to America and to, you know, treat myself like an up and coming rapper, and that's just be everywhere at every show to do as much as possible so that, you know, America knows who Zak Zodiac is, and not the story that's been portrayed in the movie, but the real life Zak Zodiac, my work, my ability, and as a solo entity, and saying, look, you know, I know it's been hard to get out of the shadows, but this is me. I back myself, and it's going to be a hard road, and I know I've got to start again. But if I can transform my body, mind, and soul, everything else is going to be easy from here. You know, I know it sounds silly, but
no, what a story it will be when it all works out. I know it's going to work out for you, and maybe, you know, next year or the year after, whatever, you know, AEW, maybe you are with AEW at some stage in the future, and they come to Wembley, and you're walking out to a song of your choice in front of 80,000 people. You know, to bring it all full circle, that would be phenomenal. That would, you know, you'd get goosebumps just thinking about it.
I'm sat there with it right now. You know, of course, you have to give yourself, you know, goals and aspirations and everything. And of course, you know, I want to get out to America. I want to get on the radar of AEW or some of the big companies that are out there. You know, I want to climb the ranks, and ultimately I would love nothing more than to walk out of Wembley Stadium. You know, I don't want a championship. I don't want the main event. Just let me walk out. I'll go in 0 hour. I'll be the first match on the card. I'll be the fourth match. You know, there's no ego here. It's just I want to show my children that with hard work and perseverance, anything is possible. Not just my children, but anyone that's sat at home that's given up on their dreams. You know, they're still young enough to get up and conquer it. You only get one life and you got to live it. You know, so for me, that's the mentality every single day is, I can't let this day be wasted. I have to make sure that I'm preparing for the opportunities of tomorrow. So yeah, in an ideal world, the dream would be Wembley Stadium to come out and not come out to crickets, you know, to have some volume of noise when they go, oh, cool, Zak's here. You know, that would be the dream.
I hope so. I hope it happens. Before we let you go, we always like to close off our shows with 10 things that people may or may not know about you. So, you know, if you ever bump into somebody in a restaurant or at the airport or whoever you are in North America, they may be able to, you know, say, oh yeah, I found out this about you. So are you ready to play the quick fire quiz? 10 things you may or may not know about Zak Zodiac. Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Beef or chicken?
Oh, that's a good one. Beef.
Squats or deadlifts?
Deadlift.
High flyers or storytellers?
Storytellers.
Christmas or Halloween?
Christmas.
Pontins or Butlins?
Oh, I worked for both. That's horrible. All right. Just because of what's happened recently, I'm going with Butlins.
Okay. I won't ask what happened to Pontins. Sharpshooter or Scorpion Deathlock?
Sharpshooter.
Cardio or weights?
Cardio, believe it or
not. What's your guilty pleasure?
Fishing.
Oh, really?
I love going course fishing. Put me on a lake away from everyone for 2-3 days. I am happy as Larry.
Brilliant. Finally, maybe topical. If you weren't the wrestler, what would you be?
So, funny enough, I know the answer to this. I'd have been an actor.
Oh yeah.
You know, it comes hand in hand anyway. You know, I've had a few roles within a movie. I've been an extra, etc. And there's still a possibility that if the visa don't work out, I will try and jump across and try and get an acting career. So, yeah, that's your answer, actor.
Brilliant. Zak, thanks for playing 10 things, everybody. Right, one final thing. This Sunday, Rev Pro, you're teaming up again with your nephew. You're called the Knights. You don't have you're not like the Hooligans.
No, we're called the Knights.
Just the Knights, and you're facing iconically or poetically, you're facing the Billington Bulldogs. You mentioned at the start that you were in the change rooms with Tom, with the Dynamite Kid. Now you're here with his nephews. Possibly maybe your last match in the UK before your visas come through. Are you looking forward to this match? Is this something that have you faced these guys before?
No, I haven't. And this is really a full circle moment because, my dad got to wrestle Dynamite Kid in the back end of his career. My dad regarded him as probably the best wrestler that ever come out of Great Britain. He's got nothing but good things to say. I'm really excited about getting in there with the Billingtons because when you think of British wrestling, you think about either the Bulldogs or the Knight family. Yeah. British wrestling, that is. So, I'm excited. You've got two royal families of the business that are going to go head to head. All four of us have still got a lot to prove. We're all still living in the shadows of, the people that came before us. I think the real winners are going to be the fans because, I know me and RKJ are going to go in there with the intentions of stealing the show and, to showcase that the Knights are the better ones. And if they have that same mindset, then the fans are going to be the real winners of this. But this could be the last one in the UK. And I can't think of a better way to finish it than, two royal families going at it in a Rev Pro ring in Sheffield. That'd be fantastic.
What a story that will be. We're looking forward to watching it back once it comes up on the Rev Pro Demand as well. So best of luck with that this weekend, and best of luck with the visa issues. I hope everything works out. Keep us, we'll see it all over social media when you're over on the British Airlines or the American Airlines flights, whenever you're heading stateside. Right.
Yeah, I will definitely keep social media up to date. I want them to see my journey. I've tried not to hide absolutely anything away from them, so people know that I'm not promised nothing. This is me taking a leap of faith back on myself, and hopefully I get the end result that I want, which is a contract with someone.
We hope it happens. We'll be here wishing for it anyway. So fingers crossed for everybody. Zach. Absolutely pleasure speaking to you. Thanks for your time today. And again, like I said, lads, as always, follow Zach on social media. You can follow his journey throughout North America when it all happens. Be there and make sure you subscribe to our channel. As always, come back and check out all our other content, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks again, Zach. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, buddy.